And we are ready to write it off like a tax deduction week 11 and then move forward into week 12. Like we already released. I love Thanksgiving. I love, obviously, everybody I think does at least the Thanksgiving football slate as well. And that first look's already out. Like I had it scheduled for tomorrow morning, as normally those videos go out tomorrow morning. So I had it scheduled for that time, and I couldn't wait. So I put it out immediately. I saw some other people putting their content out a day earlier for Thanksgiving, and I was like, screw it, let's do it. But we're gonna have a lot of things. I'm kind of viewing this week as I'm not even looking. I'm gonna personally prep on my end, but I'm not going to release content for week 12, that 10-game slate on Sunday, until Thanksgiving is over. So Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday's live stream will attack it. Tomorrow I'm going to be start prepping for that 10-game slate. I basically have I have notes. I have about 4 to 5 bullet points for every single player that is playing on Thanksgiving, going 5 wide receivers deep, going 3 running backs deep, two tight ends deep, obviously the quarterback. So that final thoughts video is going to be jam-packed with information. That'll release Wednesday morning. Thursday night football. Spoiler alert, there is a guaranteed prop coming out on Prize Picks. It'll be releasing on Thursday. Josh Allen over under a half a passing yard, so you automatically win that bet if you take it. So if you're not already a member on Prize Picks, now's the time to sign up. Code SAL gets you $100. But how y'all doing? What up? I see everybody up in the stream right now. I assume we're live. I see people up in here thinking that we're not live. We live right now. We've been live for 3 minutes. How y'all doing? So this is a fun slate. I mean, the last time the Giants, at least the last time that I played, I think they were on a Sunday night slate that I didn't play. The last time that they were on a Showdown slate that I actually played a good amount was earlier this year, and it was the game where Darius Slayton scores the touchdown. I played Slayton captain lineups. He was in the 6K range then. Now he's in the 3K range. And then he had the deep touchdown that he dropped. And if he catches that, we're 6 figures richer this NFL season in terms of the luxury box, at least, and who knows about the other contests. I think a lot of people remember that because we liked Darius Slayton then, and we're going to like Darius Slayton again tonight. If you have not seen the news, Scotty Miller was not activated. He has to be activated by tomorrow from IR. Otherwise, he has to be shut down for the season. Tomorrow ends the 21-day period that he has to be activated. The expectations are that he will be activated by tomorrow. But he was not activated today. They called up, Sean Button-Murphy, their slot cornerback, is back, so that's good for them. And they're also going to have back now, or not back, but Brashad Perriman is going to join the active roster. I don't think that really matters too much for tonight. Maybe he actually plays. It could just be a strategy thing, meaning that once Scotty Miller gets back to the active roster tomorrow, Brashad Perriman's going to go back to the practice squad. But just in case Chris Godwin or Mike Evans get hurt today and it's a serious injury, you might as well put Brashad Perriman on your active roster today rather than the practice squad where he could get poached. Like you saw today, Trace McSorley got poached and signed to the Baltimore Ravens, or to the Arizona Cardinals from the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. When you're on a practice squad, you could be signed to other teams' rosters. When you're on an active roster, you cannot. So that might be more of a strategy thing as to why Perriman's active tonight, just to kind of keep him an extra day. There's no harm by activating him. I think either way. I mean, I guess maybe he gets a game check. I don't know the differences there for today. But I would say he's not as much of a factor. I don't know if it's the strategy reasons, but yeah. Somebody says, talk me out of, I seriously don't know how that happened. Somebody said, no worries. Barkley tonight, somebody says, yeah, we'll see what happens with Saquon. Lots of interesting things with Saquon. Saquon is an interesting piece today because of where he's priced. You don't know if they're going to treat it like the weeks 1 through 3 with Saquon, where, I mean, they're really not playing for much. Weeks 1 through 3, he was limited, and that wasn't great. He didn't really produce. So they can do that. But Devontae Booker's banged up behind him, so who knows? There's no Vita Vea. There's a banged up Jason Pierre-Paul. This is not the same. I mean, when Vita Vea is out, this run defense goes from being a top 5 defensive line, literally, definitely top 10, to league average. Like, Vita Vea is a unreal. Everybody's trying to find a Vita Vea in the NFL drafts, and unfortunately, like Derek Browns and all those, unfortunately, you're not able to find one. Now, there is one coming up in the coming years, and in really this upcoming draft season, there'll be 1 or 2 that maybe can be that. But yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley, if there's ever a time to actually have to face Tampa Bay, it would be right now when they're out down Vita Vea, which is a big piece of that run stop, and then obviously whatever he can do in the passing game. So do we get full Saquon tonight, though, is the question. And I mean, I would lean towards no, and at $7,800, I think a 60, 70% roll is already priced in. So yeah, I mean, I think Saquon looks like a fine play at $7,800. Yeah, definitely. What's up, Sal? What's going on, boss man? Price Pick said very low, props set very low tonight. Yeah, I mean, on the receiving prop, a lot of props in general on Price Picks, especially when you compare them to Underdog. I just took this before the stream, $100 flex play. I took Brady's over, and I doubled down on Brady's over and Daniel Jones overs from this morning, but then I also added, I said you might as well correlate some of these Daniel Jones with his receivers. Slayton over 27.5 and Tony over 36.5. This Tony one is really low considering that Sterling Shepard is out and Tony should run. I mean, you consider they're 10-point underdogs. Jones is going to drop back, probably pass 35, 40 times. You're going to expect, Tony's probably going to run 30 routes today, maybe 35 routes today, but probably around 30 routes. That's usually going to translate for how often he gets open to 7 targets. And if that can translate to 5 catches and his average depth per target out of the slot is like 8.5, that's like a 45-yard game. And that's where my projection currently comes in for him. And that's like a median projection, of course. That's not if they don't throw over the expectation that I have them for today. And that's just kind of a summary of where that kind of thought process comes from. So, yeah, I take the over on Tony. And Slayton's is low by about 10 yards. So I like the Daniel Jones over. I like the Tony over. I like the Brady over. Might as well throw another one in there for the flex play. I like Slayton in all formats. I like Slayton as a captain tonight. Some people asking me who my favorite captains are. Right now, there's a lot of captain options on this slate. I would say there's about solid captain options. I would say 6 captain options stand out as solid. Depending on the size of the field you're in, the quarterbacks stand out. Large field stuff, I'd probably lean away from the quarterbacks, but smaller field stuff, definitely both quarterbacks are in play. Brady's projecting out for the most points on the slate for me by about 6 points, so clearly that's definitely in play as a captain, especially in your contests that have less than 500 people or so, or cash contests. Daniel Jones, similar things can be said. He grades out as a nice value. But then if you're going away from the quarterbacks, which in anything that's like mid or large field, I probably do lean that way. Chris Godwin, Tony, Fournette, and Slayton. That's where I'm locked and loaded in today. In that order, probably Godwin, Tony, Fournette, and Slayton. If you're trying to win like the Millie Maker, I think Slayton looks like a great option because he allows you to fit in. Like this slate is really murky in the mid-range. Gronk, that back can flare up at any second. Now that Scotty Miller's not out there, not as much value options, or at least he was a decent value option. So if you wanted to go Darius Slayton in the captain spot and then just load up after Darius Slayton on all the studs, right? Because that's where all the good plays are today. Normally, good plays are pay up for, but you get a couple of decent mid-range guys, a 6K, 7K guy, a 5K guy. There's really nothing right now in the 5K range, the 4K range. Like Tyler Johnson looks a little bit better now that Scotty Miller's out, but he's going to project for 5 targets that aren't downfield. He's going to project for about 3 to 4 receptions for somewhere in the mid-30s in yards. Like for 7.5 fantasy points or so, it's not that great. Touchdowns, of course, can come into play, but he's priced for his role. So if you don't want to be playing kickers today for upside reasons, yeah, you're looking at like Darius Slayton as the only good valuable value for the most part. And Slayton is captain upside because he's going to run 25, 30 routes and he's going to see some downfield targets and he might see 6, 7 total targets in the game. What's up, Sal? Favorite captain options in a 20 max contest? Yeah, my man Brian. We just mentioned like a couple moments ago. I think you probably just got in when we listened. If not, you can rewind like 20 seconds. But yeah. You told me not to start Aaron Rodgers yesterday and I listened again. Yeah, man, Kevin Schmoll, that's on you, my man. I had Aaron Rodgers in a player pool. I didn't get any when I ran 150s. I even bumped up his projection to like 20, and I still didn't get any in there. And there's a reason for that. Like MVS, when you have these ceiling games and career games out of MVS, you're never going to be able to project for them. You have to hand build those lineups. So like the optimizer is never going to give you the Aaron Rodgers unless you put on extreme randomness. It's never going to give you the Aaron Rodgers stacks. It's never going to give you the Kirk Cousins stacks unless you bump up their projections or extreme randomness. And even then, the randomness probably won't get you there compared to like the Joe Burrow or Derek Carr stacks yesterday. So yeah, Rodgers wins a slate. I think it was like 2 years ago he won a slate with Miami. I think he had Lazard then, and it was Adams, and he took down the slate. Miami is like 1 or 2% on. This happens like once or twice a year. You get the 2010, 2011 Aaron Rodgers to come out and just hit every fucking throw in the second half on turf toe, which is crazy. Sal, best 2 leverage plays on the slate. Well, that's a good question. Let me look at my ownership. So I'll pull up the ownership. You want the ownership projections or normal projections, any of them, especially now for this 3-game Thanksgiving slate. Like if you want to have any good chance in a lot of these fields on the Thanksgiving slate, you need to have some set of ownership projections and actual projections to actually have leverage chances. Top 2 leverage plays on the slate. Slayton will be definitely a leverage play because of how cheap he is and the actual decent projection at not that much ownership. After that, I'll go Kadarius Toney. So I'll say Toney and Slayton, these Giants receivers, just how they project out for me at their current price tags. The current recent performance from them, I think, keeps people a little bit lower on them. And I think that those guys come in with a little lower ownership than they should. I got Aaron Rodgers in the captain tonight. Yeah, luckily, if you are a Patreon member, this is not true. Disclaimer, this is not true. But if you are a Patreon member, luckily, you get to use Aaron Rodgers' performance from last night on this Showdown slate tonight. And you can put him in the captain spot, the flex spot. If you're a Patreon member, you're grandfathered into that perk, thanks to some of those DFS sites out there for having that partnership with us. So luckily, you get to put him in that 1.5x spot or in the flex spot if you are indeed a Patreon Remember, it's not true. Now, the disclaimer, remember, this is not true. But if you are, you do get to do that. So, yeah, lucky. So when you're saying playing in a small field, can you clarify how small? Yeah, I mean, it's relative to, I guess, really your own preferences. There's no like rule that this is a small field, right? Because the number 500 versus the number 1,000 can be considered small to some of you. I would consider small field contests anything realistically below 500 people. I mean, less than 1,000, I'd still consider somewhat small field. It's just contests where you don't have to get different in like 2 spots. Like if you can just get different in 1 spot or even get different by leaving money on the table, I'd consider that smaller field tournaments. So if there's like a 7,000 person contest, which a lot of people would consider small, especially compared to the $150,000 or 150,000 person Millie Maker, people might think that 7,000 is a small field. You can't win that by not getting different in a spot or only getting different in 1 spot. You're going to split so many times. But a small field, if you're in a contest with 250 people like the luxury box and you get different in 1 spot, if you're different enough, you leave $200, $300 on the table. That's all you really need to do. Or just different with your captain, right? Like, not that many people are going to play Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton in the captain spot today will be like 2% owned. I think he has like a 6-7% chance to be the winning captain, which is a clear leverage play. It's a 6 or 7% chance. It's not an elite chance, but when it hits, you're going to make a lot of money. And I think you take those chances sometimes, especially if you're playing more than one lineup. But if you take those chances in the luxury box tonight, which is a risky place to be putting Darius Slayton in the captain spot, like mind you. And that's what we did earlier this year, and we had a decent performance. But if he would have actually caught that second touchdown, we win the 100K in the luxury box that night. But yeah, Darius, that's twice, like in the first 3 weeks that we missed the luxury box by 1 play. And then we got it back in that Packers game, like week 3 or 4. But yeah, I mean, Darius Slayton, in the luxury box, you don't have to take that risk, right? There's 250 people. You don't have to take that risk. Now, if it hits, you're definitely going to win. Like if you have Darius Slayton captain spot, he's probably going to be in 1% of lineups. Like 2 people are going to be playing him in that 250 person tournament. So you take those risks, you get paid off way more. But you don't have to take those risks because, I mean, like Tom Brady tonight will be like 20% on the captain spot, and that's actually low ownership for that type of a contest. Penny, if Barkley doesn't play or keep out any running backs. I'm not playing Elijah Penny in any format. I'm sorry. Look, Elijah Penny is not a running back. I don't care what people tell me. He is a fullback. Elijah Penny is 245 pounds. He is not the 245-pound A.J. Dillon build either. Elijah Penny is a full-on fullback. He came into the league as a fullback. He played fullback his first year in the NFL. I guess he still operates as a fullback, trying to transition. He's 244 pounds. With a 4.86, right? Like A.J. Dillon, 240-something pounds. The dude runs like a 4.4. A 4.86, right? Bottom 10th percentile, I believe, according to player profile. Bottom 10th percentile coming out of the NFL draft in terms of that 40 time, 244 pounds. That just means he's slow, right? He's a fullback. So I think they know that as well. Like they give this guy 3 or 4 carries in games, if that. So Saquon's expected to play. If he does not play, I'd have more faith in Gary Brightwell, the rookie, coming out and putting up a performance. I stacked Rodgers, Adam Jefferson, MVS, and still didn't win shit, but $40. Discouraging. Damn. Yeah, I mean, my man Benny, you have to be playing in better contests. Are you playing in the Millie Maker? Or are you playing in contests with 50,000 people? Because if you had in your main lineup, that was the number 1 stack of the week. Right? The Sunday night game doesn't count, right? That would have been one of them. But the number 1 stack of the week, it ended up being the Packers in Minnesota. Either side of it, right? You just had to have Jefferson, Adams, and one of those quarterbacks. But that was the number 1 stack because none of the other stacks came through. So much of the running game was prevalent in week 11 that really no quarterbacks played well. Like Josh Allen didn't even play that well, but he gets like, 22 fantasy points. And he's actually one of the best quarterbacks in the week because nobody else was getting there. Because Joe Mixon's getting there, and the 49ers are running 40-plus times, and 50 rushing attempts in the game for the Colts, and Taylor gets there, right? So no games were getting there through the pass. So if you didn't get there with that stack, you either had every other position drop like zeros for you or borderline single digits, or you're just playing in terrible contests. Because, yeah, if you're playing in the Millie Maker, you can have the number 1 stack of the week and not win any money because you have to get every other spot perfect. But if you put that lineup in a small field single entry 3-max, you're definitely finishing in the top 10%, if not the top 1%. So do you like double running backs in a GPP? I mean, it depends on who the running backs are. Like Fournette and Saquon, I have no issues playing those guys together. Other than that, if you're asking for like the same team running backs, like Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, probably not. Like it depends on the specific team. So what's up, brother? Who are your captains tonight that you like? Yeah, it depends on the contest. I think both quarterbacks are firmly in play, more so in smaller field stuff. But then after that, the 4 best position players to me, Godwin stands out as a screaming obvious play at that price tag. Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton for the extreme value. You put Slayton in the captain spot, you just load up on studs in every other spot in your lineup. And then the 4th player, is that 4? Oh, no, Fournette. I mean, Fournette, how do you not like this guy? In 6 out of 7 games that he's been the actual starter for this team now, or is it 5 out of 6? Yeah, 5 out of 6 games, he's had 17 or more DraftKings points. He just continues to go out there. The last game against Washington, it was discouraging if you're a Tampa fan and if you had stacks like I did that week as your number one stack for Tampa. But the last game should encourage you for Leonard Fournette. That's a game where they're trailing almost the entire time, and Lenny Fournette goes out there, right? And he sees 9 targets, catches 8 balls, right? He had that pass-catching role on third down and in trailing game script ahead of Giovanni Bernard. That should encourage you so much and give you so much confidence that Leonard Fournette is not coming off the field for this team. Maybe in the 2-minute drills here and there because Giovanni Bernard can actually get motion down into the slot and to the outside, but Fournette's shown the ability to win there as well. So, like, Fournette is getting this 3-down role in the maybe number 1 offense in the NFL, top 3 offense, top 4 offense, and it looks great. Looks great. Tyler Johnson or Slayton? I'm going to be going Slayton there. I went first on the A-Rod stack with Adams and Thielen, not Jefferson. Still won the screen pass 750, so yes, you can do it. Nice work, nice work, nice work. Yeah, it was number 1 stack of the week. I had Vikings stack with A.J. Dillon, but still didn't win shit in my single entries, 1 to 5K fields. Yeah, I mean, those are decent-sized fields, right? And honestly, like the Vikings stacks with A.J. Dillon doesn't get there as much. Kirk Cousins obviously had a fine game. I assume Jefferson was your main piece on the Viking stacks, but if you had Thielen in there as well, like Thielen had a fine game, nothing elite from Thielen. What did Thielen close with? I guess that last reception that should have been a fucking pick 6. Kirk Cousins was bad in that game, but it's not going to show. Like he had 1 interception brought back by replay, 1 brought back by penalty, another near miss. And he should have been pick 6 on that play by Rasul Douglas. I mean, Rasul Douglas jumped the route. It was just that it was a bad throw by Cousins, and it actually worked out for him in a positive way. Yes, inactives always come out 90 minutes before the game starts. So if you're wondering about Saquon Barkley and all that status on him, I mean, that's really him and Devontae Booker and Rob Gronkowski, although he's expected to play barring anything setbacks in pregame warmups. All of that news is going to be coming out at the beginning of warmups. So there you go. Yo, Sal, went over $1,000 on SuperDraft last night. Yay. People still not playing on SuperDraft, right? They have a nice contest for Thanksgiving. They have the $10,000 to first contest for Thanksgiving. People still not playing on SuperDraft. It's not as sexy because there's not $50,000 to first on Showdown slates or $1 million to first like DraftKings. It's not as sexy, but just like anything else, right? Just like paying down your debt and not living out your expenses and buying the Ferrari and living within your means and all that. Not as sexy, but actually works, right? Usually more. Any news on Gronk? He's expected to play, according to Adam Schefter, barring a pregame setback. That being said, though, who knows? Who knows? That being said, who knows, right? Because, I mean, this guy played a week before their bye week, and then he tweaks his back right away. Like, he's still dealing with this back issue. He's an older tight end who's had issues with his back plenty of times in his career, and now he's taken 3 weeks off since his last back tweak. So do you have much confidence in Gronk getting through the game or playing a full set of downs? Yeah, I mean, Gronk can go out there. He can play 15 red zone snaps, and he can catch 2 touchdowns tonight. So that's why you play Gronk. You don't play Gronk with the confidence that he's going to put up an 80-yard receiving game in between the 20s. If you're playing Gronk tonight, you're understanding that there's a real chance that he runs 8 routes tonight and says, the back hurts. And they're like, all right, well, let's just shut it down for another month because we need you for the postseason, right? And you also add into that the fact that he has this red zone role, so it makes him kind of polarizing. It's going to keep him lower owned tonight. And where, hold on, let me see. I want to see, is this game, so this game's in Tampa. I was going to say, if this game was in New York, it would be even more worrisome because I would assume it's like fucking 30 degrees in New York right now. Sal, is Booker viable tonight? I could see a few goal line carries tonight with Saquon. I'm not really there on Booker. If Booker was in the $1,000 range like a Giovanni Bernard or Ronald Jones, you can talk me into it because, yeah, he can pay off that price tag with a goal line carry. But Devontae Booker getting 6-7 fantasy points, like a goal line touch for a touchdown, which I wouldn't expect tonight, by the way. I would expect Saquon to have that. But if it was Devontae Booker around the red zone and he had a goal line touch for a touchdown, it doesn't even pay off his price tag. Like 6.5 fantasy points or 7 fantasy points for Devontae Booker at $4,800 is not that great. The kickers are going to get that for cheaper, right? So that's the problem. Like even that role that I don't see him having, if he was to get it, I mean, I think Booker gets there if Saquon doesn't play or Saquon is extremely limited, like a 40%, 50% snap role, then he maybe gets there. But if Saquon plays, I'd be expecting about 60% of the snaps. That's what I'm going to have. I was watching the game. Kirk played well. I disagree. I was watching the game as well. Kirk has played fantastic this season. I like Kirk Cousins. I think a lot of people don't like him. I like him a lot. I think he gets a bad rep. I think people don't talk about the times where he has 18 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime, and they like to talk about the 3 or 4 times they saw him on prime time and he didn't get it done against usually better competition, right? Shameful. It's sarcastic. I like Kirk Cousins. I watch every single snap of that game, and then I watch a lot of it back as well. Kirk Cousins, if you're talking about playing well relative to all of the quarterbacks yesterday, and yesterday might have been the worst product in terms of quarterbacks playing. Yeah, he played well relative to them. In terms of how well he's played in other games this year, yeah, that was one of Kirk Cousins', I would say, worst performances. And he's had a good year, so that's probably a compliment, if anything. But yes, I mean, you can't have 4 turnover-worthy plays in a game. Literally all 4 brought back by replay or penalty. You can't have 4 of those in a game and consider that game was you playing well, especially when 2 of them are on the final drive, which would have probably lost you the game, giving Rodgers the ball back, having to go 10 yards for a field goal. Who knows with Mason Crosby, right? So, yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins, relative to how he's played on the season, did not play well yesterday. Relative to every other quarterback in the NFL, when you're comparing him to Tim Boyle and all these other schmucks that were out there, I mean, there's like 15 schmucks on the field yesterday, then yes, I agree. What's up, Sal? I hit the Green Bay stack with Jefferson. Nice work. JJ killed it again. I mean, look, Justin Jefferson has been 5% or lower owned in most contests the last 3 weeks. And every single week he's crushing it. He's a monster. He is the second best receiver in the NFL behind Devontae Adams. Adams is about to turn 30 really soon. And once that happens, yeah, prime Justin Jefferson at 24 is probably going to be the best receiver in the NFL a year from now. Right now, I'd still give it to Adams. Barkley or Fournette, GBP captain. I will be going with right now Fournette there. Nothing tonight will be more entertaining than LeBron and Isaiah Stewart. Yeah, I heard about it. I saw like the tweets and the articles. I didn't see the actual clip though. Any Jones or Bernard in your 150s? Let me see for that for you. I have 15% Giovanni Bernard tonight. No Ronald Jones tonight in my 150s. In single entry, I probably don't get to Gio. Top SuperDraft plays and captains. Yes, the top captain on SuperDrafts today, I believe, is Leonard Fournette, Chris Godwin, Kadarius Toney. I would say Fournette is the clear number 1 captain option on SuperDraft. Those 3 look like the best plays overall and the best captains. You finished 4th in the 2000 versus field with that Packers and Minnesota stack. Nice job, Josh. Nice job. I need one more catch out of Cedric Wilson. Damn. I mean, Cedric Wilson, you almost got that one as well, right? With the CeeDee Lamb injury. I'm pumped for this Thanksgiving slate. The Thanksgiving slate is the best one I've seen since doing this in 4 years now. I think since covering Thanksgiving slates for like the last 4 years, or this being the 4th year, I believe. 2018, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, so this is the 4th year. Yeah, it's maybe 3rd year. But yeah, this is the best one that I've seen. This is pretty clearly the best one that I've seen. What's up, Sal? Saquon and Rudolph for Tony and Slayton, small field single entry. I'll be going with Tony and Slayton there. I like that a lot more. I have Tony projected for more points than Saquon, and I have Slayton for significantly more than Rudolph. So yeah, I would go that side. Any big leverage spots tonight? Kind of just the better plays. This is a slate where like the better plays, the good plays tonight, where if you watch my earlier video and you follow DFS decently, the good plays just look like really good leverage. Sometimes it's just load up on the better plays even more. That's going to be the case tonight. Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton, Chris Godwin, they're not going to be as highly owned as they should, creating leverage, especially Darius Slayton. There's no viable values. O.J. Howard, Cam Brate, they can catch a touchdown, sure. All those guys are touchdown or bust. Slayton is like the only value play today, outside of maybe Giovanni Bernard if he somehow finds this role, but I think Fournette's role is so concrete. In the best game environment for Giovanni Bernard, the entire game the Washington football team is winning, Giovanni Bernard only runs 11 routes, right? It's the Leonard Fournette show. So the only like guy who can get there without a touchdown is Slayton. Slayton can have a 60-catch or 60-yard 5-catch game easily, and he's getting there without a touchdown. And he's cheap, 3,200, right? So Slayton is going to have a ton of leverage. He's going to be nowhere near as highly owned. I have Slayton projecting out for 25% total ownership tonight. 25%. As like the only dude that I'm seeing outside of the kickers below 5K that even looks like he's a solid option. So I think that Slayton's going to be good leverage. I think that Kadarius Toney will be good leverage without Sterling Shepard. These last couple of weeks of the Giants just sucking on offense is leading to that. The Giants get back Andrew Thomas, who has been the second-year player who sucked. He was the worst left tackle in the NFL last year in terms of pressures allowed per snap. And now this year he's been a lot better, but he's been hurt. So we'll see. In a limited sample this year, he's been a lot better. But he's back, which helps. There's no Jason Pierre-Paul is banged up, and there's no Vita Vea. So if there's ever a time for this Giants' terrible offensive line to actually get better, it would be tonight. How you doing, Sal? Thanks for the dollar Rooskies, bro. Any Underdog picks or on prize picks that you like? Yeah, Underdog, I've been looking. I've been trying to pull the trigger on something on Underdog. There's just not much. Like, I like the overs on Brady even on there, but obviously the better number on Brady. You can get 10 more yards in your favor on Underdog with Brady's overs. So do not be taking the over on Underdog on Brady because you get a much better number on prize picks. If you want unders, you go to Underdog usually because they set their lines a little bit higher. But this is what I have. I added this. I have the quarterbacks overs, and then I added another flex play with the quarterbacks overs. Tony over 36.5 and Slayton over 27.5. That's a $100 flex play. But I want to take something on Underdog. There's just not much. Like I'm trying to find something. I just don't want to force it. Like I think all these numbers look appropriate. I don't care too much about getting these like specialty props with the over under half a rushing yard for Brady. Obviously the kneel down's gonna hurt. I just don't really care too much about that one. But yeah, like Saquon, I kind of want to lean Saquon's under. I have him for 45 rushing yards. He's at 44.5. So like, come on, how can I really take this stuff, right? All these other numbers, like maybe Evan Ingram's under. You can't see it because it's all the way at the bottom of the screen. But maybe Evan Ingram's under right here. But I don't have anything to pair that with that really stands out because none of these other ones are screaming out as solid unders. Like Gronk and Evan Ingram, all the other ones kind of look like accurate numbers. There's just not enough. I wish there was some like receptions, props numbers, or total yardage for the running backs because usually there's a little bit more meat on the bone there from a edge standpoint. Packers Vikings would have been different if the catch that was a drop was reversed. Yeah, I'm not too sure what you're talking about in that one. Are you talking about like Darnell Savage? The catch that was a drop was reversed. I'm not too sure what you're talking about in that one. I've watched a video from you from 3 years ago, and you've really come a long way. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully, right? I mean, I think if I did not come a long way from 3 years ago, you probably would not be watching me right now, just in terms of somebody else probably would have upped their comfortability on camera / savviness or just studio quality. I have a lot of interests that hopefully this offseason I can try and pin down. I want to get a different style studio, maybe just like a different angle of the room and set it up somewhere else, maybe a movable desk. It'll be tough, but I'll have to look into it. I really like the Pat McAfee, Errol Hawani style studios where you can see the entire version of them. Like it's not just my upper torso or just my head. You kind of have that far away viewpoint. It's easier to bring guests on via the screen. It's just more of like a hang situation. Like you're sitting on the couch rather than me being right to point to shoot in your face. I don't really have much in-depth ideas there, so I'll have to see. 10K to 200 because I played CMC instead of Taylor. Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, I would have done that every time, too. I would have played CMC instead of Taylor as well. Hey, Sal, great to see you. Do you provide any content for Sunday Showdowns anymore? Sunday night Showdowns, yes. I have all of the same tools that I offer on Patreon. An optimizer, obviously Discord, projections, rankings, ownership, or rankings for GPP and cash, value ratings, all of that for Sunday night Showdowns. Do I provide Sunday night Showdown videos anymore? Maybe if I have time. I was doing Sunday night Showdown videos for like the first 4, 5, or maybe 6 weeks of the year, like first 5 or 6. And it was just a lot, to be honest with you. Like the one day off that I have basically a week of not doing anything, and I still do some stuff in the morning, but like not producing content, is Saturdays. It's the one day where I don't like create new content, and I was doing that just for Sunday night videos, and Sunday night videos, nobody remembers that there's Sunday night football, so they get like a quarter of the views of anything else I do. So I'm working on the one day where I don't want to really be working for a quarter of the production that I normally get. It doesn't really add up there, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't add up there. I like producing the videos, but taking my leisure time on Saturdays, which burns me out a little bit more for the weekend, which is never great, for no real payout, if you will, or just production, growth of the channel, finance-wise, bringing in revenue from sponsors. It just doesn't make sense, right? Any fear that Barkley would be limited even if active? Yeah, of course. This is a waste season for the Giants. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, they limited him the first 3 weeks of the year. I'm projecting a limited role of 60% of the snaps for Barkley tonight. So, yeah, I mean, I would if I did not project Saquon Barkley to be limited, I'd be projecting him for 17 to 18 fantasy points. I've been projecting out for 13 fantasy points. So, I'm expecting him to be limited. So, there's not really fear because I'm expecting it. I have him for 13 fantasy points. So, it just makes him a fine play. It does not make better plays than Saquon Barkley per my projections tonight. These are not my projections on the screen. These are just kind of an interest sheet for YouTube. But the projections that I'm looking at on my other screen over here, if you're a Patreon member, you can get them. 1,000+ members. Why not join? I don't know. I'm asking you. But better plays than him in that similar price range. I mean, somewhat similar price ranges. Daniel Jones, Godwin, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, right? They are better plays than him based on his projections. But if you think Barkley is not going to be limited today, yeah, he's a smash play at $7,800. But I mean, this guy was playing 83%, and 88% of the snaps in weeks 2, 3, and 4. So I guess he was really only limited week 1, limited touch-wise, I guess you can say, against Washington in that Thursday night game on a shorter week. But yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley, if you think he's going to be limited like week 1, where he plays close to 50% of the snaps, not great. If you think he plays 60 to 70% of the snaps, yeah, he's probably going to have a 13, 14-point projection. Sal, I need the motherfucking dollar Ruskies. I hope you get him. Sal, huge question mark on Barkley, or do you go to Golladay today? Let's see who I have more of currently, and I can answer that question for you. I currently have I have 31% Barkley and 35% Kenny Golladay. So I see them as similar options. I would feel more confident with Saquon, to be honest with you, if you're building one lineup. Who do you feel better about, Barkley or Booker, and Toney and Golladay? Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate the $5 super chat. Steven Drakes. I would prefer their Barkley over Booker and Toney over Golladay. Do you like Gronkowski today? Only in large fields. Gronkowski, I don't really trust to play a lot of snaps, but he will have a red zone role, and that is obviously deadly in this offense, especially against this defense. So don't be shocked to see Gronk go out there today, see 2 targets, and have 2 catches for 10 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Like, that is kind of, I think, the role that he plays today. Mike Evans for leverage at the captain spot, question mark. I don't think it'll be good leverage, no. Like, yeah, will Mike Evans be lower owned than the other guys around him today? Yes. Does that mean that he's a leverage play? No, because leverage is not just about who's low owned. If leverage was about just who is low owned, then you would get all the $3,000 shit wide receivers who have 1 point every week on the main slates considered good leverage plays. They're not. Leverage is about your chances of being in the optimal lineup, the optimal captain, versus your ownership. And I think Mike Evans tonight is going to be appropriately owned in the captain spot. If Evans comes in around 5 or 6% owned, that's what I think that his percentage chance of being in the captain spot are. But then I hear people out there. I mean, Evans has only topped 4 targets once in the last 4 games, and Antonio Brown has not played in those games. So there's a concern here with Evans. He's getting older, right? He doesn't get separation as much now. But he can have 2 and 3 touchdown games, yes, and that's why there's the 5 to 6% chance that he could be the captain, because the chances that he has a 2 touchdown game are not 50%. They're not 20%. They're closer to 5 to 6% tonight. Look at his career games. That's what you're going to get. Do you like Gronk in a single entry 20 at the flex spot? If you're just stuck in that range, sure, I'll take Gronk over Evan Ingram, but I'm not taking Gronk over Tony. I'd prefer Tyler Johnson, who's a little bit cheaper, obviously. But if you're just stuck in that range between Bucs defense, Gronk, and Evan Ingram, yeah, I'd go Gronk between those 3. Can we talk Bernard, LOL? Yeah, I guess, the discussion on Giovanni Bernard at $1,800 is a tough one for me to have because I just don't know how he gets there, right? Barring a touchdown on like his limited touches, how does Giovanni Bernard get there? He has 7 attempts on the entire season, so he's not going to get there on the ground. Okay, so the answer is he gets there in the air. All right, well, they're 11-point favorites, so this is not the game script for Giovanni Bernard. All right, well, you look at week 10. Week 10 was the ultimate game spot for Giovanni Bernard. Washington, they're trailing the entire game, Tampa Bay. The entire game they trailed, right? They lost the game. They trailed the entire game. Giovanni Bernard plays 30% of the snaps, runs 10 routes, 1 catch, 8 yards on 3 targets. And that was the ultimate best game. And I get it, like the whole fourth quarter was milked, so it's like 3 quarters. But it was the Leonard Fournette show. So now Leonard Fournette is the main pass-catching running back, which we've kind of known, but we got to see that in that game where they're trailing most of the time. So Bernard's not going to get there on the ground. He's in the best possible environment. If the Giants go up in 2 scores by this one, like Washington was, you're going to get 15 routes run out of Bernard for 3 or 4 receptions. Like, that's where you play Bernard. You hope that actually 3 or 4 targets, like 1 to 4 receptions, right? So that's the best game flow for Giovanni Bernard. A 2 to 3 catch, 20 to 30 yard game. And I just don't see that game flow happening tonight. So it's tough for me to really want to get to Bernard. He projects out for me for 3.7 fantasy points. And I even see it being hard for him to get to that number. I mean, he's only crossed that number once since week 5. And during that time, since week 5, Fournette has become the clear workhorse back. And the time that he did cross that number, he did it on getting 1 catch, a 37-yard touchdown. So that's what I'm talking about. If you think that his 1 to 2 touches today go for a touchdown, Giovanni Bernard, that's the way that you play him. I think that those odds are extremely low. And I would say that his odds of, let's just say, Giovanni Bernard today, I would say that his odds of being in a winning lineup are sub 10%. But I think that his ownership will be above 10%. I think Bernard's going to be like 12% owned in a lot of contests today. I currently have him at, 12% ownership projected. And I think that his odds of being in a winning lineup are like 5% the day that he has that touchdown, right? Sal, my fella, best play 3K and below. Thanks. 3K and below, so you're not counting Darius Slayton? Shit. Giants defense, there's nothing down there. There's nothing down there, to be honest. I got 40 cents playing today, bro. I need 4 captains in large fields. Go. Large field stuff, I'd probably shy away from the quarterbacks. Like Tom Brady and Daniel Jones are 2 of the 5 best captains today. But if you're playing in large field stuff, I'd shy away from the quarterbacks. They'll be higher owned and probably appropriately owned. So Darius Slayton, Tony, Godwin, and Fournette would be my 4 other captains. Slayton is going to fuck this slate up. Yeah, either in a good way or a bad way, right? He'll be low owned, so I'll like it. What's up, brother? Who are your top 3 favorite DFS captains? Yep, just mentioned a couple of them. Thank you for hammering home what I already was thinking about Bernard. No problem. Who do you prefer rest of the season, Alex Collins or Zach Moss? I guess Alex Collins, but the answer is really neither of them. Like if you're talking about your season-long league, you're screwed. Zach Moss was the 3rd running back in the rotation for the Bills last week. They're running a 3-headed monster. 3 running backs played 30% plus of the snaps. Not good ever, right? And I mean, he's attached to a better offense. Like the Seahawks are the 2nd worst team in the NFC. Do you guys know that? You know that? I heard that on the GM Shuffle podcast today. I don't usually track the standings since I'm more so dealing with game-to-game, player-to-player stuff. The Seahawks are 3-7. They're the 2nd worst team in the NFC, only ahead of the Detroit Lions. Brutal. And they don't even get their pick. They have to give their pick away because of the Jamal Adams trade to the Jets. I mean, one of the worst trades you'll ever see in NFL history, Jamal Adams, right? a safety who's not even a good coverage safety. He's a better linebacker, and the linebacker is the least valuable position in the NFL currently, and they gave 2 first-round picks for that, right? I mean, man, if you're Russell Wilson, get the fuck out of there, for sure. A kicker will give you more points than Bernard. Yeah, I agree. Who do you have projected for more ownership, Godwin or D. Jones? More ownership today. I have it really close between the two of them. It's basically a coin flip. Expect similar ownership. I have Godwin, but by a hair. Any prize pickolas you feel good about tonight? Yeah, good amount. We talked about some earlier. We'll talk about some shortly. Sure. So that was a pure alpha male. Alpha male. Uh-oh. Well, hopefully not a beta. Definitely not. GOB Day, Tutty incoming. Uh-oh. Birthday narrative. Sub, smash the like for sure. Yeah, if you're just getting in now, we talked about it at the top of the show. A little insider information for you. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be saying this. Midnight on Wednesday, so Thursday morning technically, Prize Picks is releasing a Josh Allen prop over under a half of passing yard for Thursday Night Football Thanksgiving Day. A half a passing yard. So if he throws for 1 or more passing yards, you win the bet. There's a max bet. I think it's capped $25 or $50, but it's free money. It is literally free money. It's a promotion to get more people on their site. You're with your friends at Thanksgiving dinner, your family, and you're like, hey, I just placed this bet. You should too, right? It's that reason they're doing it is so you tell the 4 other people you're around and they sign up for Prize Picks. But yeah, I mean, if you're not already a Prize Picks member, not only for tonight, some of the props that we've taken, you get a free bet up to $100 tonight on your first bet with the code SAL. You'll also get literally a free win on Thanksgiving. So be sure to remember, set an alarm right now to take that on Thursday morning. It will not release. You won't see it right now. They're releasing it at midnight on Thursday, Thanksgiving AM. Little inside tip for you. Again, go ahead and take that. Braid or suck up? I'm thinking suck up. I'll take suck up. Love that shirt. Keep up the great content. Thanks, Dalton. I appreciate that. Haven't missed a live since I started watching 3 weeks ago. Hey, started watching 3 weeks ago. Is that when you first discovered me? I appreciate you, my man. Welcome in. Adam Ringler. What's up, boss man? He says, Danny Dimes captain leverage, seeing in between 6 and 8% seems low for the upside, has been bad, but has 30-plus point games in his bag. Yes, I think that he's going to be a captain leverage for you today. Yes. Appreciate the super chat for you. I would say that Daniel Jones is borderline the second best captain play in the slate today. It really depends on the contest you're playing in. In large fields, I think that obviously wide receivers have higher ceilings. So Kadarius Toney, Slayton, those become better large field plays. But those ceilings don't come out as much. That's why how often does a pure projection win? In smaller fields, a pure projection, like highest scoring guy in the slate, will normally win more often. And like a 24-point day out of Daniel Jones can be that for you if none of the receivers go off. So Daniel Jones in smaller field stuff looks to me like the best option. But if you're looking at in terms of overall captains, I'd say it's probably Godwin is the best captain play in the slate, just in terms of like odds of being in the winning lineup, not factoring in your contest size you're in. And then Daniel Jones is probably like right there next. That being said, I like Fournette. I like Toney. I like Slayton. Slayton is going to have a small chance of being the winning captain, smaller than those other names. But a 7% chance of Slayton being the winning captain, or 6% or 8%, somewhere in that range, is way better than you ever get from a $3,200 player. Like ever. Like literally ever from a $3,200 player. So when you have that, it allows you to load up on the other studs. So if Slayton has that touchdown game tonight with a couple of receptions, it's looking really good for you. Yes, sir. I first discovered you with the recommendation from my uncle. Started making money using your strategies and content. Hey, shout out the uncle. Shout out the Uncle Dalton Storm. Shout out Uncle Storm. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for the Prize Pick special. No worries. Yeah, I'll let you in that little insider tip. I think they're going to start promoting it either Wednesday or like Thursday when it's actually launched. But fuck it. Better to ask for forgiveness than approval or whatever the fuck this saying is. Or permission. Thoughts on Kyle Rudolph? Yeah, the dude's going to play 50% of the snaps. He's going to run 10 routes. If he continues to score these fucking touchdowns like he has 2 weeks ago on the Showdown slate, he'll be in play. Otherwise, no. Danny Duke's getting one of those 25-plus yard rushing touchdowns today. Ooh, then you should take the over on his rushing yard prop because you will definitely hit it then. You think Jones gets any run? Ronald Jones, I mean, he got no run in the last game. He stinks. Leonard Fournette is way better. Giovanni Bernard is way better. So I would expect Ronald Jones, if they get up by 15, to get a couple carries. Otherwise, you're looking at like a 2 to 3 carry game. Like he'll get one drive for them and get 2 to 3 carries. You like Rudolph at all as a sub 3K guy? Let me see right now. I got Kyle Rudolph in my 150s and 0% of my lineups. In terms of players below 3K, I have 15% Giants defense in 150s. And that is 15% Giovanni Bernard in 150s, and that's it. So Bernard and Giants defense are the only guys below 3K that I currently have ownership towards today. I recognize that there's a couple other guys in my projections projecting out for a point or a point and a half. Rudolph projects out for 2.9, but he's also 2,200. Like he's not the dirt cheap $1,000 play. Somebody says, can you scroll down, please? Yeah, where do you want me to scroll down to? I'll scroll down to here. 5,000 options, $5 range and below. Slayton target share last few weeks not scare you, says Kipper. No, I don't really relate it into this week specifically. Yeah, no, I don't really relate it to this week specifically. It's a 2-week sample. Like, I can just easily say just go back 3 more weeks than that, and then it's completely fine. It's a 2-week sample. He has a much better matchup this week. I mean, Sean Barton Murphy returns, but that's more so for Kadarius Toney reasons. So yeah, no, it doesn't scare me. No. I want to look up something quick. Ingram has actually been not garbage lately for once. Yes and no. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it depends what you consider garbage. The fact that Evan Ingram was literally the only pass-catching option that they had the last month with Golladay, Toney, Shepard, Slayton even banged up at times. The fact that he was the only pass-catching option that they had, and he was only able to secure 3 and 4 targets these last couple of weeks, yeah. He's had back-to-back games with touchdowns, right? So Evan Ingram has had back-to-back games with touchdowns. The game where he caught 6 passes for 44 yards on 8 targets, there was no Toney, no Shepard, no Golladay, and I think no Slayton. Like, I think he was literally like the number 1 option in the passing attack, and that's all he can muster. So yes, 3 straight games of 10-plus fantasy points. Again, the last 2 of those have been relying on a touchdown. If you get a touchdown out of any player on the slate tonight, there's a really good chance that they are going to be viable, right? Because based on the total, it's a 49-point total. So based on that, what are you going to be looking at here today? Like, it's projecting out 4 touchdowns for one team, 2 to 3 for another. So 6 to 7 touchdowns. Yeah. And if you're going to be getting one of those as a position player tonight, there's a good chance that you are viable. The touchdowns are the clear thing, and in bonuses, if you hit those 100-plus yards, that gets you there. But I would say pause on Evan Ingram. The dude has had 2 touchdowns on the year, and they've both been in the last 2 weeks. So, like, to try and continue that trend doesn't feel great, especially with Kenny Golladay back now for a second week and healthy. Same thing for Toney. Do you consider a 5,000 person contest big? Yes, I would. Having trouble when referring to big contests are small. Yeah. I mean, if you were I would consider 5,000 people a lot of people. Your odds of winning a contest that have 100 people is 1%. If there is 100 people in a contest, your odds of winning are 1%. 100 people is definitely a small field contest, right? So yeah, 5,000 people I would consider not a extremely large field GPP like the Millie Maker, but I would consider 5,000 mid-size. Definitely not a small field contest. You cannot win a 5,000 person contest just by getting different in one spot, in my opinion. I think you have to take more of a risk at captain and somewhere else in your lineup. I think you have to have probably 2 leverage plays in a 5,000 person. Showdown slates are a little bit different because your captain can really be all the leverage you need if it's like a Darius Slayton. But typically speaking, like a 5,000 person contest on Sunday, you have to have a leverage spot in 2 spots in your lineup, in my opinion. Any injury news? Sorry if I've missed it. The injury news will release in 9 minutes, I believe. We're waiting to see if Saquon and Devontae Booker are active, and if the official news on Gronk, which he's expected to be active. Sal, are you fading Jonathan Taylor anymore? Yeah, it depends on price. It depends on the running backs that are also active that specific week. I mean, look, here's the thing with Jonathan Taylor. He's priced for his role, right? He currently has the NFL record for yardage through the amount of games that he's played. He is beating Adrian Peterson, right? So anytime you have an outlier season from anybody, right? The LT 20-plus touchdown year, the Randy Moss massive year. Like, anytime you have an outlier season from anybody, it's going to break projection models. And if it's breaking projection models, it means you're not accounting for it because it is literally their career year. And when you don't have their career year and career games, you can't project their career performance in terms of ceiling properly. And when you have that not projecting properly, McCaffrey is always going to look better than a Jonathan Taylor at similar price and vice versa, right? So I will always miss on the outlier performances and on the outlier performances in terms of like seasons, right? Like the career year for a JT. It's just hard to predict. But I'm fine missing on that because nobody can actually predict it. If you try and say you predict it, you might predict 1 out of every 8, 1 out of every 10. You're going to lose way more than you ever win, right? Sal, you mentioned my comment a few weeks ago about my daughter having leukemia and how you've helped me through it. I'm happy to let you know that she's officially in remission, still has chemo left, says Jonathan Hyland. Well, Jonathan Hyland, that is by far the best thing I've seen today. By far the best thing I've heard or read in a while. So, I mean, awesome. I can't even imagine that feeling on your end. I get chills reading that, and obviously I've never met your daughter, but seems like a very, very strong individual. That's incredible. So shout out, chat. Give some love to my man Jonathan's daughter in remission right now from leukemia. That is fantastic. That's awesome. Love what you do, Sal. Hey, my man Stewie up in the chat. What's going on, Stewie? How you doing, boss man? Haven't seen you in a while. What's up? Gronkowski is in. I didn't hear his name yet. Yeah, we've been talking about Gronkowski a decent amount throughout the show. I think you probably see more of a red zone role. Is Gronkowski starting tonight? We'll know in 7 minutes, but he's expected to play, yes. So when Perriman catches a touchdown tonight, think of me. All right, he sounds good. Any SuperDraft action tonight? Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's great contests on SuperDraft. We built out a lineup earlier today, but yeah, there's great contests on SuperDraft. $5,000 to first, $25,000 overall. I mean, this contest is not even filling at 50%, literally an hour and a half before the games. I love seeing all the love in the chat. I'm going to let some of that love come up onto the screen right here. If you're looking at the screen right now, bunch of love going Jonathan's way and to his daughter. Shout out to you guys. Enjoy your Monday night. Let's go. Big W for Jonathan. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan doesn't have to play the slate tonight. He's just, maybe he is. I don't know. He's just chilling, relaxing, maxing, all cool. I mean, he's already got the W. Tonight. Don't even matter. It literally don't even matter who wins. $1 million to first place. Anybody will take that. But I think Jonathan's, he would cash in that all to get the W that he got or that he told us about today for sure. You messing with John Ross or not worth it? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be worth it, man. I want it to be worth it, but with Galladay back, I mean, the guy ran 2 routes last week. Like when I was talking up John Ross or somewhat talking him up, I think people thought I really liked John Ross this morning. He's like a $400 play, right? So now that Scotty Miller's not active, if you're looking for a guy below $1,000, I'd go to John Ross, right? I would take him over Colin Johnson, Jalen Darton, and Brashad Perriman because he's gonna, when he's out there, he's gonna just run a wind sprint. He's not running a slant. He's not running a curl. When John Ross is out there, if it's for 2 routes or 10 routes tonight, and by the way, Kenny Galladay, Slayton, and Tony have all been injured this year, so you never know. So when John Ross is out there for his 2 to 10 to 15 routes, they're going to be straight down the fucking field. Where, oh yeah, Tampa Bay has had trouble this year. So I don't love John Ross. No, I have 0% currently. I have him projected for 1.6 fantasy points. But there is a scenario where always injured Kenny Galladay, so far this year, injured a bunch, Slayton and Tony don't produce. Or, they're down by 10 or 15 like the Vegas lines are projecting, they go more 4 wide receiver sets. So there's a chance John Ross can get there, yes. If there is a guy below $1,000 and I'm looking at, it would be John Ross. How much Gronk you got? I'm thinking of fading all tight ends in single entry. I think you could fade all tight ends in single entry because there's not that many good tight ends. I have 20% Rob Gronkowski in 150s. I think that 20% number will be around the field. I have him projecting out for 24% ownership tonight. If you had enough salary, my man RGV Tech asks, what's going on? He says, if you had enough salary to roster one of these two, who would you choose, Daniel Jones or Christopher Godwin? If it is a smaller field contest, I will go Daniel Jones. If it's midfield to large field, I'll go Godwin. So assuming this is not captain, this is just flex. So if you're playing in a contest below like 1,000 people, I'll go Daniel Jones for the security of the fantasy points. But I'd be chasing the ceiling in Chris Godwin otherwise. All the love still coming in. We love to see it. Hey, are you playing the luxury box tonight, says Kevin Schmo. Right now, I'm not entered into it, but I kind of want to. It fills sometimes. It really depends on the slate if it fills or not. If there's a Millie Maker, sometimes it does. Let me see. So as of right now, I'm not entered into the luxury box, but I do like this slate a good amount. And the luxury box is not filled. There is still 28 more spots. Should we enter the luxury box tonight, fam? 28 more spots in the luxury box. I'm considering it. Where the thick-ass pumpkin? That's why I'm here. It's right there. Was I blocking it out? Uh-oh. Yeah, it's right back there. Both QBs are just one in single entry tonight. It depends on who you go to the captain spot. If you're taking a risk by going Slayton in the captain spot, I would probably go both QBs. How much trust do you have? I have 0% right now. Would you play Barkley tonight? Yeah, I've got about 35% Barkley. What's your promo code for Prize Picks? My promo code for Prize Picks is just my name, Sal, S-A-L. That'll be my promo code for anything, SuperDraft, Underdog, really whatever you see as a partner on this show or a tool that we use. The code SAL will get you a discount. Easy to remember, simple. Gronk in the captain spot. Gronk in the captain spot is not something that I am personally on today, but he has clearly done that plenty of times. Super Bowl and first game of the year this year. My wife has a thick-ass pumpkin, and that shit ain't soft either. Uh-oh, says Clint. Uh-oh. Now that all the Giants wide receivers are healthy, not true yet. Not true. I mean, the best one, Sterling Shepard, is not healthy yet. He's the best one on this team right now, and he is not healthy. Who do you think gets the biggest target share? So biggest target share tonight, I'll say Tony. I have Tony projected for the biggest target share. Yeah. The only concern with Tony getting that target share is that if they continue to only operate him out of the slot, because Galladay and Slayton are clear outside receivers, and that's what it seems, in 2 wide receiver sets, he won't be on the field as much or ever. So that's where you start to see him only play 60% of the snaps instead of 85, 90%. But the goal is that they actually get down and they're trailing today, so you see more 3 wide receiver sets, and he's playing 75% of the snaps. Luxury box screenshot or its cap. Yeah, I mean, I obviously know what that means, but yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'm not entered into the luxury box, but I'm considering it though. But yeah, I mean, I've probably entered into the luxury box 25 times this year, and we are up about 30 grand in it, mainly because of the one big hit that we had, but that's what it's going to be for anything. Who'd you prefer for Prize Picks, receiving yards, Tony or Slayton? I took both overs on Prize Picks. If I had to choose one, I'd choose Slayton. But I took both of those overs, as you can see right here. Tony over and Slayton over. Sad with the vibes tonight. You just have to go for the luxury box. Yeah, we might. I got to update these NBA projections right now. The problem with the luxury box is that it's about to fill and I have to make this decision on stream. Did it fucking fill? Nah, it's still got, nobody's going in right now. So I probably got a half hour. I can make it right off stream too. Got $50 in my account. What's your best recommendation to build a roll contest selection-wise? Small field, single entry, and 3 max. And completely honest with you, don't play showdowns. Don't play showdowns if you only have a $50 roll and you're trying to build a bankroll. You should, if anything, play the Monday night to Thursday morning slate that they have on this one. Just play contests where you have more of an edge. You have more of an edge when there's more players on the slate and more chances for leverage, right? At the end of the day, the biggest thing in DFS is leverage. There are not that many leverage opportunities on a showdown slate. Normally, there's like 2 or 3 or 4. Tonight, there's like just play more of the good plays as the leverage, which people are already playing, so it's really hard to get leverage if you're playing 1 or 2 lineups. So, yes, I would recommend not playing showdowns if you're seriously trying to build that, and stick to more games on the slate where you can have more leverage opportunities. Thanks, no problem. Would you play Barkley in single entry? Yeah, I think he's viable in single entry. Obviously, some risk there, but you're assuming that risk, right? You are assuming that there's a clear risk that he can only play 50% of the snaps tonight. I started Keep Sharp by Sanjay Gupta on Audible. Pretty solid. Definitely makes me think about my everyday life myself, needing to make some... Yeah, I haven't started Keep Sharp yet because I've been listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast. He's got like 44 episodes. They're really good. He just straight shoots, though. It's like a college seminar, but I kind of like it. I put it on 2X, and I just zone out while doing work. But he's got like 44, 45 episodes. I think over the last couple of days, I've listened to like 10 of them, so I'm trying to just knock them all out. It's the same as basically like an audio book, except a lot more information, which is cool. I've been using a lot of his tactics, though, trying to get outside once the sun rises within the first hour of the sun rising to get your circadian rhythm up. If I'm going to eat carbs, which I would say I'm relatively lower carb, if I'm going to eat carbs later in the day, so it helps with my sleep more, which has actually been really helpful, like poke bowls later in the day, things like that, pasta, things like that. But yeah, a couple things in there are really helpful in terms of small hacks. I forgot what he called it. It's like the native sigh. You breathe in twice and then you exhale, and it like naturally reduces stress, naturally reduces pain. And I did it while running. I did 13 miles on Saturday. I did it while running, and obviously placebo effect can take into account. But yeah, I mean, it really helped in terms of overall energy. Just doing one of these, like the double sigh in before you go out. Massive. It's the number 1 stress relief that they have found in terms of natural stress relief. Not having to like work out or run or something like that. That will reduce your overall heart rate, but naturally reducing your heart rate without excurting anything. Would you be willing to do a video on using Slate Slayer most optimally for showdowns and classics? Also the difference in how you should approach the two. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I could put that down for sure. Thank you, Tyler. That's a good idea. Where would you rank the Giants receivers in a head-to-head? Tony, in terms of my interest tonight, Tony, Slayton, Galladay. In terms of points, Tony, Galladay, Slayton. The physiological side. There you go. Yeah, I don't know if it's bullshit. I mean, this guy seems trustworthy, so I guess I'm just believing him. But I heard it in another spot, too, on a podcast, so maybe they got it from him. Thanks for the diamonds. No problem. What's wrong with showdowns on DraftKings? Nothing's wrong with them. They just are what they are. There's a low chance that you can win money, right? Your odds of having an edge are much lower. Like any other contest, you have a 20% chance of winning. But your odds of taking advantage of leverage on a showdown slate are lower than any other contest. Why? Because there's less leverage plays. So it's harder to take advantage of leverage, right? There's way less leverage plays on a one-game slate. So you really can't, you don't have as much of an edge on a one-game showdown slate than you ever will on a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, a 10-game slate, right? You never will, because there's way less players and less edges, less leverage plays. So I like showdown slates. I use them as entertainment. I've had big wins on Showdown slates, 30 grand earlier this year, 20 grand in the past on Showdown slates. That is fun. That is nice. But at the end of the day, most people will not profit on Showdown slates because they are extremely random and there's little to no edge. Like a lot of pros don't play Showdowns, right? Because it's usually a leak for a lot of their bankrolls, or you have to put in, if you're trying to win, a lot of money because you don't have as much leverage. That's one reason. Number two, you split way more. You never want to have duplicated lineups, and it's hard not to in Showdowns. Blaine Gabbert in the captain. I most have better luck on Showdowns when I don't make an entry. It's weird. There you go. I won $2,500 this chance. Hey, nice work. Nice work. Low-owned captains today. Low-owned captains that have upside today, I guess you can say. I would say Darius Slayton is a low-owned captain who has upside. I would say Leonard Fournette will be relatively low-owned, has some upside. Other than that, that's kind of it. Like Evans and Galladay will be relatively low-owned, but I don't think that I think they're fine. Salad breathwork is a form of meditation. You told me you wanted nothing to do with that. I don't know. I don't know anything about meditation. I personally, meditation isn't for me. I've tried it once or twice, but I'm not against it. I actually think that one, I think it's called breathwork, where like people go and they have like wild ass trips when they do some breathing shit. I think that's interesting. But I don't think I ever told you that. Sal, if you could only choose one to do for the rest of your life, would you choose Showdown DFS or player props? Player props for sure. They're way more profitable. They are more fun to me than Showdown slates. You can do them on way more games than just one day or two or Thursday night. Yeah, it's not even close. Player props over Showdowns. If I can only invest in one thing or play money or play props or gamble in one thing, it would be player props over Showdown slates. Showdowns are way, way more of a sweat when you actually have them. More infrequent of a sweat, of course, but way more of a sweat. But yes, definitely would lean more towards that side of it for sure. Do you put your main lineup in the Million Maker just in case it hits? Usually, yeah. Like I'll put one lineup in the million. It's usually my main single entry. I can attest to that. I am down through the years on Showdowns. Yeah, I mean, it's usually just entertainment. Hopefully you're not spending a shit ton for that to be the entertainment though, right? What do we got? No Scotty tonight. Yes, no Scotty. Giants inactives are now out. Thank you. We'll take a peek at them. I got a DM from somebody. Giants inactives. Saquon Barkley is officially active. So is Bucks tight end Rob Gronkowski. I guess Devontae Booker is the only other question for tonight. Devontae Booker is active. So, yeah, everybody's good to go. Caden Smith is out if anybody was holding their breath on that. So, yeah, everybody is good to go. We have everything we need. Right now, I don't need to do any updates. That's what I love to see. No updates needed. We have everything we need to have. The inactives for the Bucks. Vita Vea as expected. Antonio Brown as expected. Kyle Trask, if you were holding your breath on that one. The rookie. But yeah, nothing. So no news there. Sal, you're the best, brother. Just sent my daughter the video of your comments. Everything helps. Dollar whiskeys are needed tonight. Thanks again, my man. Hey, we love to see that. We love that. We love that, Jonathan. Hell yeah. I don't know if you have a GoFundMe or anything like that. Feel free, obviously, to link it up in here if you do. But if not, yeah. Prayers up. Thoughts to your daughter and you, my man. I win more on Counter-Strike prize picks than NFL and NBA combined. Yeah, less people. Any sport where there's less information about it and you have to search and dig for that information, you're going to do better on. WNBA, my most profitable sport, not in terms of dollars-wise because you just can't invest a lot. There's not a lot of contests. The number one prize is usually like $5,000 to first. But percentage-wise, my number one percentage profit sport. XFL also up there for the 4 weeks. By the way, I don't know if anybody saw this, but we need to start tweeting at DraftKings to get this to be a thing. Because I guess, I've never heard of it. I guess it's brand new. There's now an 8-team league that is launching in April, the United States Football League. You might be laughing at this. This is exactly what the XFL was, an 8-team league that launched last year, I believe, in mid-February instead, like right after the Super Bowl. I want there to be DFS for this because I will full-on cover this shit. If it's April, May, and June, that is exactly what I want. I want to be able to cover football in the summer. That's why I love the XFL. It's not returning until 2023. They have a team in Houston, the Houston Gamblers. Hello, like 2 hours from my house. We love that. So we need to start tweeting and sending emails to the United States Football League, the USFL, follow them on Twitter, and start tweeting them, make a partnership with DraftKings, right? Go make a partnership with DFS sites. We need to have these sites. I mean, they were $100,000 to first contest for the XFL. It's first weeks. Every week, I think. So, yes, that's what we need. I want that. That is so interesting to me. The USFL is way more interesting to me in the potential of that than the NBA playoffs where there's fucking 4 teams playing a night. The Rock owns it. The Rock owns the XFL. He's part owner of the XFL, not the USFL. Are you going to do USFL content for spring football? If they have DFS and if the contests are more than $10,000 to first, yes. If we can start getting $50,000 and $100,000 contest to first for the USFL, I will do it. Yes, I will cover it. I am actually interested in covering that. I like the idea of looking at prospects. I don't know what it is about it. Like in terms of like the 3-game slates, the showdown slates, I love researching prospects who like barely play. For the USFL, it'll be, I'm sure they'll do some sort of lottery draft system. It'll be, I love it. I love researching all these dudes that you've never heard of. Oh, this one dude was in the NFL and he never did anything, but he did this in college and all that. I just like educating myself on all those types of guys. It's fun. Favorite player, $5,000 or less, it'll be Darius Slayton today. USFL was a league in the 1984 and 1985. Yeah, the way that they framed it, they framed like we're back, and I never heard of them, so that's why I probably never heard of them. What does Tyler Johnson's role tonight look like? I think the same it has looked. There's no Scotty Miller. There's no Antonio Brown. Rob Gronkowski coming back does hurt his role somewhat, mainly in the red zone where he didn't really have a role. So I think his role looks like he plays the slot. In 3 wide receiver sets, he plays the slot, which will be about, 50 to 60, probably 60% of the time. And that probably leads to 4 or 5 targets. Do you do WNBA prize picks? No, I do not. I just don't have the time at this point. Like I was grinding them in the summer 2 years ago, but I just don't have the time at this point to be doing them. Are you liking Evans or Godwin more? I like Godwin more personally. Spring football, hell yeah, brother. Yeah, for sure. Who doesn't like that? A lot of people who love the NFL were like shitting on the XFL. And first of all, the XFL's product was great. The way that they had you have interviews with the coaches and the players and some of the raw shit you got, the way that they used betting all the time on the screen was great. But some people just like, they must have not have watched it, just like off the cuff with shit on it. Like you don't want 3 more months of football. You want to have, and I love watching golf. But not it being the only sport I can cheer for, or like the NBA playoffs where you know what's going to happen 95% of the time. Like you don't want to have long-term some sort of football league that is propelled. I loved it. The XFL was getting so much support from the NFL last year. Like players are coming through. Goodell was hyping it up. Of course you want there to be football year-round. Keep people involved in the sport of football. And then obviously COVID, and nobody's prepared for that as a new business. Bro, you ran 13 miles? Fuck, I thought I was balling with my 1 mile a day. Yeah, 1 mile a day is good, man. Any type of activity. If anybody out there knows how to, somebody told me something about drinking some tea and honey for my knees. Yeah, I need to try and figure out things for my knees. Right now, my knees are fine. I'm 25, luckily. They're fine. But 10, 15 years from now, if I keep running, running just helps me a lot. Helps me with stress, helps me with sleep, obviously physically and mentally, trying to stay sharp. But yeah, it helps me a good amount. A kangaroo or a tiger in a fight, who wins? Oh my God. Not sure what league was going to be called that, but he was supposed to play for the Boston Freedom Fighters. Interesting. Steve Young started in the USFL, I think. Really? Holy shit. Wow. I try. Interesting. Evans or Fournette? I'll take Fournette. Any B-Day boy, Gio Bernard. I currently have 15% Giovanni Bernard, but that's in 150s. I'm going to have 0% overall in like my single entry. Thanks for all your prayers. Yes, of course, my man Jonathan, of course. Over 1K viewers in here. Smash that like button. Yeah, if you're not already subscribed to the channel or liking the channel, why not take a second and do that? I appreciate that a ton. This slate starts in 1 hour and 20 minutes. The SuperDraft contest right now is only filling at around 50%. There is still time to get your prop bets in. And again, Josh Allen over under a half a passing yard. When he throws for 1 passing yard on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving, you get a free bet. So that prop is not yet out. It will be out on Thursday at midnight on Wednesday. It will be out on Thursday. So you can check that out. Thoughts on YouTube removing like to dislike ratio? I have no idea that they removed it. Is that like active right now? So I don't know. I have no idea. I don't really have a stance on it. I don't think it wasn't doing anything in general for getting viewership. No longer, like 5 years ago, it was a part of the algorithm. No longer was the last couple of years. So I don't really have a stance. I actually use a thing called Goodbye Metrics by Matt Diavella. He's a pretty good content creator out there if anybody's interested. Larger scale one, millions of followers. He created this add-on on Google called Goodbye Metrics, and on YouTube, it takes away all of your metrics, or whichever ones you want. You can like do an on-off switch. So I have that taken off for a lot of things. You can actually probably, I don't know if you can see it. It might not drop down far enough. There it is. So Goodbye Metrics. I have it taken off for a lot of stuff on YouTube because YouTube, seeing numbers on YouTube, like in terms of recent views or all that type of stuff, literally does nothing good for you mentally. You're just constantly comparing your current day's performance with past performance. And obviously week 1 of the NFL season is going to have way more excitement and hype from people than week 12, right? So goodbye metrics. I never see anything. I actively sometimes go and look at the comments in terms of recent comments to reply to some people who take the time out to ask a question. Nowhere near as I used to, just time-wise. But goodbye metrics I use because there's no benefits of me seeing the numbers. Like over a month or every couple of weeks, I can look to make sure there's nothing drastic happening. But I would sense that just in general, I believe, just from other stuff. Thoughts on Tony as a captain? Yep, definitely involved. Bicycle and swimming are good for the knees. Yeah, swimming definitely is. But I like running. Give us your best New Jersey impersonation. Yeah, I don't got anything for you. I can give you the Jersey Shore episode in New York with or Italy with Paulie and Vinny pretending to be Italian people with their fist bump push up chapstick. That is by far my favorite, I think, quote from that movie. There's a lot of really good scenes in that that show. A lot of really good scenes. That's probably my favorite. Isn't Miller out? Scotty Miller is out. Yes. He was not activated. Hey, Sal, can you send out the link to Prize Picks, please? Thank you. The link to Prize Picks, yeah, I can hook you up with that. Yeah. I'll put it in the chat right now for you. This link will take you to Twitter because I don't want to run the risk of having it on YouTube, the Prize Picks affiliate link, because in the past they did some wonky things with betting affiliate links. But now it's right there. That will take you to Twitter, which is just a redirect to take you to Prize Picks. You get the free bet up to $200. I went to the USL and followed them. Don't see any way to message them. Yeah, there's no message. I saw that. I don't know if you can go to their website if they have one and probably a contact section. I'm sure there's some way to get to them. But I tried to get into the people they were following earlier today. It was 17 to see if they were just following like the teams and like I guess they're really tied in with Fox Bet. That's probably the network they're on, so they're tied in with like Colin Cowherd, a lot of their stuff. So I tried to get in to try and contact their social media person, but they don't follow their social media person yet, at least. I paid down from Williams to Claypool to leave money on the table last night. Cost me a split for first in the GPP. Goddamn, we hate to see it. We hate to see that. We hate to see that. Wasn't a bad decision on your end in hindsight, though, but we hate to see that. If you could live in another country permanently, where would you go? For me, it's Costa Rica. Yeah, I just really don't know. I'm not as well versed in like the world to make that decision right now. So like I've watched like vlogs on like Bali in Iceland, in places like that. But I just don't know. Obviously, I want to visit the motherland in Italy, but right now it's kind of a shit show over there. So I don't think I would want to live there right now. I'm not well versed enough to know that. If I can live in another country, not the United States, I'm personally not well versed enough to know that right now. 100% Saquon tonight, Sal. I don't think he's going to be 100% himself. I have him projected for about 60%, 2/3 himself. Booker or Penny tonight? If I had to choose one, I'll take Booker, but neither. So now there's an NFL, XFL, and USFL. Will NFL always be the top? The NFL will always be the top, of course. Of course. They have the buy-in. They have the experience, the years, the establishment, of course. Of course. All right, everybody. I'm going to bounce. We've been live for a little longer than we usually do. I need some food. I haven't eaten in hours. So I appreciate you tuning in today. This slate starts in about an hour, so we don't have to update anything in terms of the projections. So, yeah, everything's good. Gronk is in. Shepard is out. And Saquon and Booker are in. Scotty Miller is out. So there you go. There's all the information you need to know. If you want to sign up for Patreon, become a member of 1,000+ community over on the Discord and all that, and the optimizer and all the tools and everything you need for the industry lowest price, you go ahead. You get the benefits of that. Thanksgiving now. Thanksgiving. The first look for Thanksgiving's already out. Go watch it. Go watch it, right? Tomorrow, I don't really know what I'm going to release tomorrow. Wednesday is going to be the final thoughts for Thanksgiving and the Thursday Night Football video later in the day. I don't know what I'm going to release tomorrow. Maybe nothing. Maybe a first look for Week 12. Do I want to do that extra work when no one's going to watch it? Probably not. Sal, how did you get so thick? It's insane. Man, shit. Have a good one. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you all when you win the Dollarooskies. Tell them, you dumb, you got them because you know about that football. That football, ooh, baby, it knows about you. Week 11 in the books after tonight, and we head into, outside of like the first week or second week of the year, my favorite week of the year for DFS, for NFL, for in general, feeling great and grateful and gratitude and thankful. Thanksgiving week, baby. Check it out. I'll see you when I see you, gang, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, gang.